Hello everyone, welcome back to the thetechyned vlog. Hope you're doing great. And yes, remember that the last time we did the definition, we looked at the pillars, we looked at the five values, we started with the roles. Now we are going into we looked at the product owner, we looked at the developers, that's the development team, and now we're going to look at that of the Scrum Master. Okay, then we continue. So, the Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide. So, you as a Scrum Master, your work is to make sure that we follow the framework of Scrum as it is the Scrum Guide. Okay, they do this by helping everyone understand Scrum theory and practice both within the Scrum team and the organization. So, as a Scrum Master, you're not just accountable for your team. It is your work to ensure that everyone in the organization understands Scrum and you guys are all following Scrum as it is in the Scrum Guide. Okay. So you have to coach, you have to teach people, and you have to monitor and evaluate. So, okay, their Scrum understanding or their understanding of Scrum. So the Scrum Master is accountable for the Scrum team's effectiveness. So you monitor how effective your Scrum team is when it comes on using Scrum in their day-to-day activities during the daily stand-up. Make sure they, know what to do. Make sure they keep to the time box. Is it during the review? Is it during planning? Is it during you refining the backlog with your product owner and all whatnot. And you're also looking at the effectiveness. So as it's not about doing and not telling. Okay, it's about doing and making sure that you're getting value from everything you're doing. So they do this by enabling the Scrum team to improve its practices. So as you are doing your monitoring and evaluation, you are also the best way to be effective is to enable the Scrum team to improve its practice. So you see some things that are not going as they should. Maybe they're not keeping to the time box of 15 minutes. Maybe towards the end of the sprint, you notice that there are so many things that are yet to be done. Maybe you notice that at the review, your stakeholders, they are complaining that they are not getting value. So what you have to do is to teach them how to improve the practices, okay, within the Scrum framework. So it's your job to help the product owner, to help your team, and as well the organization. So the Scrum Masters are true leaders who serve the Scrum team and the larger organization. So telling you that you are a leader, okay, and you serve the team and larger organization. The Scrum Master serves the Scrum team in several ways, including coaching the team members in self-management and cross-functionality. So you coach the team members on how to manage their self within, like, for example, your developers, they start arguing about stuff or they are complaining about stuff. You now call them together and allow them to open up a conversation or a line of dialogue that would teach them how to converse between or within among each other or one another, okay, so that they will come to that level of understanding. Okay, so at the point open up that line of dialogue or conversation, another time they now understand that instead of arguing, instead of raising their voice, it is something that they can actually settle, brainstorming, looking at stuff. So even when they're having issues, maybe they don't understand something, also teach them how they can always reach out to the product owner to say, can you come to explain this to us? Remember, they already have the skills. Okay, so that's why, like, coaching the team members in self-management and cross-functionality, so they can reach out to the product owner to say, oh, we are working on this, but we think you need to come and explain this and this to us, okay, so that we can continue from where we stop. And also cross functionality, remember that they have all the skills that are required, that is necessary and is required. So at times someone will be working on something and they may meet a blocker and their team member can actually help them with it. Okay, so you teach them how to look inward instead of like outward. So helping the Scrum team focus on creating high value increments that meet the definition of done. So for example, we are about to start our sprint and we have given like this like story points or whatever. This is our definition of done. Okay, it has to do this, it has to do that. When we get to this, we know that we've reached that definition of done. Okay, but unfortunately, we get to the sprint review and the stakeholders start complaining that, oh, this is not what we want. Oh, this has gone live, but we're not getting value for it. Okay. So it is now your work to go maybe during the sprint retrospective to bring that up as a conversation on what we did better or what we need to improve on, how we can improve on something and stuff like that. And you guys will start having conversation on, okay, the stakeholder complained that with this increment or this didn't meet value, or we went live with this and they are not getting joy and stuff like that. How do we make it better? Okay, so you are now helping the team focus on creating high value increments so that, like, they are looking at what they didn't get right and how they can get it right next time. Okay, now causing the removal of impediments to the Scrum team's progress. Oh my goodness, this is very, very important. That is why you have your daily stand-ups. You will have uncountable blockers, whether it is from the organization, whether it is from the Scrum team, whether it is from individual team members, whether it is from dependencies. Okay, take for instance, you have, like, in an organization, you have like 5 Scrum teams. And let's say that they are working from out from the same product backlog. Okay, so they work on this product and they work on that product. They now, use the same repository, to put their products or APIs or whatever together and stuff like that. And you notice that there are some dependencies, or you notice that, oh, you guys will need this technical person from this technical team, but remember, it's the same Scrum team. Okay, but you guys are in different teams. Like, maybe you guys are so much that you divide into different Scrum teams and stuff like that. So, and your developer comes to you and say, okay, we need this to happen, but unfortunately we notice that maybe, let's say that the resource we need is to get it done is in another team. So, and before we need this to get done before we can do this, so it is a blocker apparently, because this can go. So what you have to do is get all the stakeholders involved, get the Scrum teams involved, and you guys sit down, discuss about it, know how you can unblock your team and stuff like that. Or maybe you've gone, let me give you a typical example. You've gone live with something and your stakeholders, they are not able to connect. And that is a huge blocker, because that means you've not even delivered value. Okay. And your Scrum team maybe they would need the networks team. Let me just give that as an example. Or maybe they need to connect to something and they're not able to do it. So what happens? It is a blocker. So you, as the Scrum Master, will have to figure out how to go about that. So I'm just giving examples of blockers. It could even be internally in your team that someone is unavoidably unavailable. And it is a blocker because they will need that person. So you have to think ahead of time, you have to plan and stuff like that. Yes. So ensuring that all Scrum events take place and are positive, productive, and kept within the time box. Yes, you have your stand-up should be 15 minutes. You have your sprint planning should be, like, I think, 8 hours or 6 hours, depending on, if it's 2 weeks or if it's 1 month. You have your sprint review, you have your retrospective. So they have time boxes. So they are telling you that, because at times, your developers will come up to you and say, oh, well, do you know what? We are meeting 15 minutes each day, and we think that there is no need for us to be meeting because we already know what to do. In this case, no. Your work as a Scrum Master is to coach them. In fact, you can even start asking, you can even start with discovery questions. Okay, if you don't have those meetings each day, what do you think could happen? How would you know that this person is doing this? How would you know that this person needs this? How would I know that you guys are doing this? Okay. How would I even get to know your blockers or your issues? How will I help you? So that would now ring in their mind that, oh, actually, the daily stand up is important. Or when they tell you, can we extend the hours of the daily standoff, and because, or the minutes of the daily standoff from 15 to 20 or 30 minutes, because everybody is taking their time to explain and stuff. It is your work to coach them that this should be at this should be productive, this should be, and so that this is why this is this way. It has to be this way. So you make sure that they attend all those events, they participate as they should, and it's positive, because at times it could be heated. Like, yeah. Yeah. And also it is productive. So at the end of the day, you make sure that that they, like, you guys discuss whatever you're supposed to discuss, you take whatever feedback, you chase whatever you need to chase and stuff like that, and kept within the time box. So the Scrum Master serves the product owner in this. So what, like, the Scrum guide did, like, gave us a holistic, role, or what the Scrum Master, how the Scrum Master serve the team. So they're also going to tell you how the Scrum Master serves the product owner, and I think the organization, when we scroll down. So for the product owner, how does the Scrum Master support or help the product owner? Helping find techniques for effective product goal definition and product backlog management. So remember that the product owner comes forward, brings the what needs to be done, puts it in the product backlog and manages it, and comes up with the product goal and stuff. But he doesn't do that in silo, or he's not an island. Nobody's an island. So what happens here is, you as a Scrum Master, you try to find techniques for effective product goal definition. So you guys sit together, you guys start talking about the product, and you guys come up with a product goal, like looking at the product that needs to be designed holistically. And you guys, like, okay, on this sprint, for example, let's give a typical example. For example, you are trying to build an online monitoring tool, maybe for your members of staff, and it would be like something that you have to authenticate, or you have to sign in, and when you are working, everyone knows you're online and stuff like that, and you want to do it using Scrum, and you want to go agile with it. So now it is a product, right? And your product owner comes and be like, okay, I have this product, but I don't know how to go about it. I don't know how to go about the product goal definition. I don't know how to manage it and stuff like that. So you guys brainstorm, you guys break it down, you ask the product owner, okay, what do you actually want this product to do for you, and stuff like that. You guys list out all those requirements and stuff like that. Then you feed it into the product backlog. Now you already have a picture of what you need to do. Okay. Then on that product backlog, there's a way you manage it. You already have everything you need there. But the thing is, we can't just start from the bottom. Okay, we can't just start from the up or from the middle. No, we start with what would give us value immediately. That's the minimum viable product, or whatever. So MVP. So you ask your product owner, okay, now when you look at this product, what and what do you think we need to start with? We need as increment, or we need to churn out, so that it gives you value, it gives your clients value. People can start using it. You can start seeing value. You can start testing and stuff like that. So that is how you manage your product backlog. Okay, or even when you churn out some already, you know how to manage it. Like you move some, like you either highlight the ones that are already done, then you move the ones that are yet to be done up and stuff like that. So this is how you help the product owner manage the backlog, and there are still more if you read up. Then product goal definition. Now you already know that we need a system that will help us monitor our workers. So you and the product owner now would now um, you know, come up with a product goal definition. So this sprint, maybe you have so many sprints to achieve this. So you'd be like, in this sprint, we are going to, at the end of this sprint, we need a system that would do this or do this or this, depending on what the product owner wants to pull into the sprint backlog. Okay. Now, also the Scrum Master helps the product owner by helping the Scrum team understand the need for clear and concise product backlog items. Yes, I touched a little bit about this on the first line. So you as a Scrum Master, you also try to help the Scrum team understand the need for clear and concise. So explain to the product owner that whatever we are putting into this product backlog has to be clear and concise, not ambiguous. So that whoever needs to look at it, whether it's from the organizational aspect, whether it's your developers, they will just get the gist of it by looking at it. They wouldn't need a second helping or like coming to you so many times to have this explained and stuff like that. Okay. So you explain to whoever that needs to get this done that it needs to be concise, it needs to be clear. Okay. Now, helping establish empirical product planning for a complex environment. And remember that they say empiricism is you working based off of what you see or what you experience and stuff like that. So it is your work as the Scrum Master to help the product owner establish empirical product planning. That is how to plan their product, how to plan whatever you guys need to do around the product for a complex environment. At times you come and you meet a complex environment, like Scrum has so much to do with change. And whether we like it or not, Scrum is still new to so many organizations. So and some organizations are so complex to deal with because they have like microcosms, they have little units, they have different, aspects to read, whether it is from the stakeholders, whether it is from how the organization is managed, or whether it is from what the organization does, maybe finance and all whatnot. So your work here is now to help the product owner manage the product planning in that complex environment and facilitating stakeholder collaboration as requested or needed. Remember that they said that the person that can order the product work into the product backlog is the product owner, but he can ask someone else in the team to help him with it, and you are the next person as the Scrum Master. So not only helping in other things, but also in collaboration as needed. So you help your product owner also. Like there are some meetings, some events that you have to help your product owner facilitate. Manage or facilitate stakeholder collaboration so that make sure you have everybody attend and everybody listening and cooperating. Now, the Master serves the organization in several ways, including leading, training, and coaching the organization in Scrum adoption. Very, very important. So you have to lead, you have to train and retrain and also coach when you see that something is going not the right way. You try to, talk to the person, maybe the stakeholders that is not within your team. They are confused about this Scrum process. You train them. You are supposed to lead the Scrum value, like lead in the organization with the Scrum values. Try to also be an example yourself. Okay. When you're supposed to come to meetings early, you're supposed to communicate properly, and when you see maybe the stakeholder having issues with maybe one of your team members, you have to call them by the side and coach them. Or maybe the stakeholders, even some organizations that would employ you to do Scrum for them, they can tell you, oh, do you know what? Let's do away with this review. We don't need it. Don't have time. You coach the person that it is important we review this product with you to make sure that it meets your need, or maybe retrospective and stuff like that. Now, planning and advising Scrum implementations within the organization. So, whatever Scrum implementation that needs to be done within the organization, it is your work to help when it comes when it comes to the organizational aspect. Okay, helping employees and stakeholders understand and enact an empirical approach for complex work. So, when at times it gets complex, so it is your work to help employees understand, follow through with everything that needs to be done. Removing barriers between stakeholders and Scrum teams. Yes, at times you have all those misunderstandings between the stakeholders and Scrum teams telling you, you guys are not giving us value. We need this. What are you telling us? 2 weeks, 1 month, you guys are still having meetings, chit chats, and stuff like that. They don't really understand that. So it is your work to coach them. It is your work to remove that barrier by making them understand what Scrum is all about. Scrum events. Now, the sprint is a container for all other events. Sprint is what? The container. Just imagine a container for all other events. Okay, each event is in Scrum is a formal opportunity to inspect and adapt Scrum artifacts. So telling you that whatever event you have in Scrum is an opportunity for you to inspect, look at what has been done so far, discuss, brainstorm, and adapt the Scrum artifact, and adapt what has been presented. These events are specifically designed to enable the transparency required. Remember, we talked about transparency. So, when you have this event, it encourages transparency. You're able to see everything from top to bottom, or you're able to see everything in and out. There's nothing hidden. Failure to operate any event as prescribed result in lost opportunities to inspect and adapt. So you cannot fail not to have any of these events. Maybe your daily stand-up, that means you don't even know what is going on anymore. The sprint review, that means you are signing off on things that may not be approved. On retrospective, that means that you don't even know what went wrong and how you can make it better. So events are used in Scrum to create regularity and to minimize the need for meetings not defined in Scrum. Optimally, all events are held at the same time and placed to reduce complexity. The sprint, that is the first sprint. The sprints are the heartbeat of Scrum, where ideas are turned into value. There are fixed length events for 1 month or less to create consistency. A new sprint starts immediately after the conclusion of the previous sprint. So there's nothing like resting before the next sprint. It is called sprint. You continue running, okay? You continue running. So sprints are the heartbeat of sprint is the main thing about Scrum, where ideas are turned into value. So whatever you guys have discussed, it is now turned into value during sprint. So during sprint, the developers do the work. And at the end of the sprint, you do your review, your retrospective, you enter into another sprint. There are fixed length events of 1 month or less to create consistencies. Yeah, so it can be 2 weeks, it can be 1 month. A new sprint starts immediately after the conclusion of the previous sprint. Please have it at the back of your mind, because you see, like I've seen simulators that will tell you when can the new sprint. It is immediately. Just leave any other option you see. All the work necessary to achieve the product goal, including sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and the sprint retrospective, happen within the sprint or within sprint. So sprint, just see sprint as a container. Inside the sprint, you have the sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. Okay, so all these are done to achieve the sprint or the product goal. Okay, during the sprint, no changes are made that would endanger the sprint goal. So whatever changes you're making, it has to be within the sprint goal. It has to align with the sprint goal. Quality does not decrease. There is nothing like, oh, do you know what? Let's take this, like, let's go this way. Okay, that means, or okay, let's not test this product. There is no need. No, quality does not reduce. Or you tell the developer, why don't you do this for 3 hours, do this for 2 hours? No. The product backlog is refined as needed, and scope may be clarified and negotiated with the product owner as more is learned. Remember that they tell you that that Scrum, you run with the first idea. So as you guys are going, you are refining it, you're understanding it, you are going back with and forth with your product owner, you are discussing more of what needs to be clear is becoming clearer. Sprints enable predictability by ensuring inspection and adaptation of progress towards a product goal at least every calendar month. When a sprint horizon is too long, the sprint goal may become invalid. So let's keep it simple. Complexity may rise and risk may increase. Shorter sprints can be employed to generate more learning cycles and limit risk of cost and effort to a smaller time frame. Each sprint may be considered a short project. Yes, each sprint, whether 2 weeks, 1 month, is considered a short project. And when you At times, when you notice that maybe you are on a month sprint and you notice that, oh, you are having a lot of complexities, you're having a lot of issues, you're having a lot of misunderstanding of the product, what is required and stuff, do you know the best thing you can do? Why don't you guys discuss having those sprints in 2 weeks so that you have shorter time to complete a sprint? There you are able to, you are doing your daily scrum, but at the same time, at the end of the 2 weeks, you know that you're meeting your product owner to explain this to you. You know that you are meeting this person to do this for you, and like you are getting feedback because sprint rides on feedback. Okay. Various practices exist to forecast progress, like burn downs, that is your way of reporting your progress. Burn ups or cumulative flows, that is like how, like your speed and stuff like that. While proving useful, these do not replace the importance of empiricism. So, although you have your burn down charts, burn up charts, cumulative flows, it does not replace the importance of empiricism. That is what you have experienced, you making decisions, you making decisions based on what you have experienced or what you see. Okay. In complex environment, what will happen is unknown. Only what has already happened may be used for forward-looking decision making. So in complex environment, you don't really know much. So you only take decisions, you only move forward in some cases due to or with what you've experienced or what you've seen or what has happened. So for example, you guys churn out an increment and you notice that something is wrong and you go into, investigate that and you find that, oh, because we did this, that is why this happened. So next sprint, you try to work around it, you try to correct that, right? A sprint could be cancelled if the sprint goal becomes obsolete. So let me explain this. Now, for example, you want to build a product that will help you, electronically sign signatures. And at the end of that, or in the middle of that, what the product owner does is when you guys are, building, they are in the market, you know, looking at what is obtainable, looking at what is new and stuff like that. And the product owner now sees that we can actually do this in such a way that we can just sign once and then call up the signature and imprint it. So there's no need for you people to repeat signing, right? Oh my goodness. That sprint goal is moved by the corner because it's obsolete. It's there's no need. It's you are duplicating effort. Okay, so that is how the product owner works. So only the product owner has the authority to cancel the sprint. And yes, I think the next time you're going to start with sprint planning. And we looked at this. I know it took us so long, but I am. I hope you're enjoying this because we are putting in a lot of effort to explain and all whatnot. So we looked at the Scrum role and the Scrum Master's role to the organization, to the product owner, to holistically and as well to the developers. Then we started with the Scrum event and we looked at the sprint. So the next time we are going into the sprint planning, and I hope you were able to get one of you from this and see you next time. Thank you.